So, some more practical things. What makes C different from other languages? Well, first, there's no objects. C is pretty old. It came before the whole object-oriented paradigm came around. So, the closest that it has is something called a struct, which is sort of like a grouping of variables that can be different types to differentiate from an array, I guess. The difference between a struct and a class is that you can't call methods on a struct. So, that's one difference. So C, I think this is the biggest thing about C, is very low level. It's very close to assembly. It's almost a wraparound assembly with some, like, other things tagged on. So as my uncle once told me, with great power comes a lot of side faults. So C will let you do everything without warning, but you'll also get in trouble sometimes if you end up doing the wrong thing. So if you want to reinterpret that integer as a string, yeah, go right ahead, but it could be a really bad idea. And you're the only one who can figure out where you went wrong. Another difference between C and almost any other language is that you have to manage memory by yourself. You might be familiar with C++ or Java where you use the new operator, and they do memory management behind the scenes. So if you want to like make an object, it'll go out into the heap all by itself and do all of that for you. C doesn't do that. Like I said, C is very low level. It makes you do all this stuff on your own. So it'll go out. So you have to use this routine called malloc, but I'll get into that later. Debugging C can be difficult because once again it's low level, so it won't give you any like additional help. Like I know for instance when Python crashes, it'll tell you the exact line number of a crash. With C it's much more difficult. Normally it just prints out a seg fault or segmentation fault. So you have to use other utilities. Use GDB, use valgrind. I'll get into these later also. There's no built-in string type. This is, they give you like a character array. This kind of gets annoying later on because it has like a lot of problems with it. But I'll discuss this also in a later lecture. Now, I've said a lot of bad things about C, but I feel that in the end, it's a very pure language. It doesn't really hide anything from you. So, if you want to see how it represents a float, for instance, you can tell it to print out the bits of a float, and you can see exactly how it's handling that. So, when it comes down to it, everything in C is a number stored in memory, and you can treat it like that. So, it really feels like you're in control. You're in absolute control, for good or bad. So, that's what makes C different from other languages.